guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about scrappy projects. So I've definitely seen a few more like scrappy yarn videos recently. So I think it's becoming a bit more of a trend to like use up all your scrap yarn into like really funky, interesting projects. So today I wanted to go through some projects that I've already done and then projects that I would want to do of that I just think are really cool ideas for using up scrap yarn. But specifically I'm going to be kind of talking about scrap projects that are for like really small like little bits of scraps instead of like having just like a kind of maybe half a skein left that you kind of need using up kind of small projects. Obviously that is a great scrappy project as well, but I really want to focus on scrap projects that look like scrap projects. I know that might be a bit controversial. Well, maybe not controversial, that's a bit of a strong word, but I know a lot of people like don't like the look of scrappy projects, but I really do. I think they're really fun and chaotic and whimsical, so I want to share with you some scrappy yarn ideas. Let's get started. Okay, so starting off with ones that I've done and the one that I'm currently working on now, and that is a scrappy basket. So I'm going to leave a link to in the description below the tutorial I used for, like, basically you're just chaining all the yarn and then you kind of hold them together when you're transitioning and then like chain them together. It creates a bit of like a transition period, which is yeah, a really interesting way of attaching yarn. But basically by chaining, you creating chunky yarn, which is then really great for making things like baskets because it has a bit more structure. So this is where I am so far. I think it's really, really funky. And I've got lots of scraps in here that I've kind of put aside for this scrap project specifically. And then these are all the kind of chains that I've made. Once I've kind of gotten through most of this, I think I'll probably actually start crocheting it into the basket. But this is a really great idea if you have lots of scraps you want to use up, because of the chaining process and it being chunky yarn. It uses lots of the yarn. I mean, this has really eaten up so many of my scraps. It's insane. And it's, you know, a relatively small project, but it's used up so many scraps. This is absolutely amazing. This technique is also going to be really great for kind of making a rug as well, like turning it into chunky yarn and then creating like a big funky rug. That'd be really cute as well. So yeah, I think this is a really great idea if you want to really use up your scraps, making it into chunky yarn and then making a basket or a rug or something like that. Really great idea. And it's very funky. Yeah. So another great project is what I'm going to call like chaos bag. So if you'll have seen my 2025 scrappy projects video and also my top 10 makes of 2025 video, you'll have seen this bag. It is very funky. I'll pop up some pictures here. And this was a scrappy project that was very much trust the process. It looked very bad for a while until I just continued adding more scraps and silliness at it, and then eventually turned out into something I think is really cute. So this type of bag, you can use like scrap yarn, ribbon, scrap bits of like strips of fabric, which I did in this bag as well, and then like any random like buttons and beads and things like that that are in your stash. Just throwing it all in there is really cool. I used different weights of yarn, different textures, different fibres. I included bits of freeform crochet as well to add some bit more whimsy. So it's a great way to use up a whole bunch of scraps you might have in like a particular colour palette, or you could go like full chaos with it and just do lots of crazy colours. But yeah, I think it's really cute to have something that really looks scrappy and just using up like everything you have in your crafting stash. I think it's really cute. I made quite a small one, but you know, if you have lots and lots of scraps, you can make a big one, and that'd be really, really cool as well. And then another slightly less chaotic one you could do is making switching to my big hook now for this, like a little pouch. So just a simple little pouch, really quick scrappy project. So this is good for making like a little dice bag or a bag organizer. So you could also make it for like LARPing or Ren fairs and things. So it's a good way to use up scrap yarns of a single colour palette, especially like smaller scraps because it's a smaller project. Now I made mine in like stripes, but you could like totally just attach all the yarn together and have the colour changes be random. That'd be really cool as well. And yeah, maybe if you do like crafting fairs or kind of do fantasy style makes to sell, maybe that could be a cool like idea for a project to sell. That's maybe a little like kind of less expensive because it's scrap yarn, just like a cute little silly dice bag. Yeah, I don't know, I really like them and I think they're very cute and very good, quick, easy scrappy project. Another quick, easy, scrappy, very beginner friendly project are cat hats. Now a cat hat is already a very whimsical shape, so you throw some scrap yarn at it and it works absolutely perfectly. I have made a few of these scrap hats before and they're so cute. So I'll try and insert a picture here, probably one from my, like a shot from my I Can't Stop Making Hats video. But yeah, they're so cute, they're so funky, very quick and easy, and yeah, very scrappy looking. So again, if you really like that scrappy look, a cat hat is perfect. But also, speaking of hats, if you want to do something a bit more complicated, maybe you have kind of larger scraps, you could totally make something like a witch hat like the one I made. But you could make any kind of complicated hat, a witch hat, wizard hat, cowboy hat, pirate hat, something very silly like that. It'd work well for kind of, again, like Ren Fair or LARPing type things. But yeah, especially if you're doing like a wizard, like a witch or like wizard style hat, maybe like in like greens and browns, it would kind of give Radagast vibe, I feel like, especially like brown yarns, like all like the little bits sticking out would look like twigs and stuff. And then I also like crocheted some little mushrooms to throw on there, which don't take up much yarn as well, so that's like another little scrappy add-on. I did like little leaves and all sorts of little things hanging off. Absolutely amazing scrap project. It destroyed pretty much all like the greens and browns that I had in my stash at that time. So yeah, that was so cool. I love that. I'm always going to bring that hat up at any kind of given opportunity, even though I've kind of made the opportunity myself to bring it up. I just love it and I think it's so cool, and I recommend you make a very silly scrappy hat too because it's so fun. Now going back to some smaller projects, because again we are talking about really small scraps really, you could totally make patches or badges for a jacket or bag. So an example of this is this little like flower badge and like the nautilus shell that I made for my denim jacket. So the nautilus shell is like meant to be like the Minecraft one. I think it's like backwards though, because the like pattern I found was like the opposite way to the actual Minecraft one. But I think it's really cute, and it's just like a cute little silly like quick project. And in like a similar vein to that, just making things like small crochet flowers. Where's my page? Here we go. Like small like crochet flowers or random granny squares or pieces of freeform crochet, to make different kinds of like flowers and different shapes and things, use as decor, earrings, adornments for things like bags and jackets. and stuff. Really quick, easy project. If you don't have any particular project in mind you want to make, but you want to get through some scraps, just start making random things basically of like different shapes. Flowers are really great. There's so many tutorials on lots of different flowers and lots of different granny squares and things like that. And then maybe at the end of it you'll have just a whole bunch of randomness that you can put together and make a very silly project with. So that'd be really cool as well. It's just fun making little patches and things to go on your jacket. I also, on the same jacket, I also have a little cross-stitch Simon and Garfunkel I made when I was a teenager. And when I was doing my denim jacket, I just cut it out and sewed it on, which maybe not the best idea because it's like fraying a little bit. I think I put some fray check on it, but still maybe not the best idea. But yeah, I think it's so cute. I love having a funky, silly denim jacket with lots of patches and badges and things, and adding some crochet elements just makes it cuter. Another really cute, tiny project are Christmas stockings. So, like last Christmas and the Christmas before, I made these little stockings. I only have like a couple of them here that I like made for our own tree. They're so cute, they're so tiny. But I basically made a whole bunch of them and had them in this bag, and it was like a lucky dip. So a couple of Christmases ago I did it with my family, and then this Christmas I did it with my fiance's family. And yeah, everyone always really loves it. And I had some spares left over, so I took them into work. For people to do a bit of a lucky dip at work and get a little silly crochet stocking, and they loved it too. So yeah, it's really cute. I mean, I know it's obviously the beginning of a new year, so Christmas is a while away, but it's just something to keep in mind for a really cute small project. That's very, very cute, and also that you can give as gifts. So highly recommend. Now, moving back into something slightly more chaotic, I'm thinking covers. So I'm going to show an example of like a cover I made. It's basically what I've done. I've crocheted little patches or like kind of shapes and sections and patchworked them all together, and then used it to cover up like this like cheap pleather case thing that I keep some of my art supplies on that I got years ago. And it's really ugly, and I was like, I want to make it, I guess, still ugly but whimsical and colourful. So that's what I did. But I really think like this method of just making sections and shapes and things like that and patchworking them all together is really cool. So you can make covers for like things like that. They're kind of like an art case type thing, or like cushion covers, tea cozies, table toppers, or even like a big beanbag cover. I think that'd be really cool to have like a big patchwork beanbag. That'd be very, very cool and very, very funky and whimsical. So yeah, there we go. I don't have a beanbag, but if you do and you have a lot of scraps, that might be a good idea. So the last thing that I think is a really cute little mini scrap idea are hair brooches or hair clips or brooches. Don't know why I combine those two things together. But I have some hair clips here, examples, but they could be easily made into badges or brooches, or hair combs as well. But yeah, like just little simple like oval shaped, and then these kind of like scalloped crochet edge around. There's some funky buttons on there. This one's a pumpkin. This one's like a garden themed, even though the flower ended up kind of looking like a fried egg. But I use a lot of yarn from this like bundle I have of like, I guess like leftover ends from factories and stuff. So lots of interesting textures and stuff I ended up working with, and yeah, made some really funky little hair clips. This was so cool. These pom-poms were like in the yarn, which was very interesting to work with. Very cute as well. Well, for furry pom-poms. So they're really adorable, and again, they could totally be easily made into brooches or hair combs, whatever it is you hot gluing on the back of them basically. I made this little teddy bear one as well, which I love. So yeah, that's the projects that I wanted to discuss, of ones that I've already made. Now on to the ones that I think would be really cool to make. Let's get started on that. So the first thing is kind of a very popular one, and that's like a scrappy jumper. Specifically, I would want to make a raglan, but the one I have in mind is connected to like more of like a bigger long-term project. So I've been watching, it's either Soph or Sophie Knits Daily, and she's been going to lots of little funky independent yarn shops and picking up small skeins of yarn to add to her sweet shop blanket, and that is so cool. I love that idea. So it'd be really cool to make a granny square blanket using small skeins of yarn I've collected through my travels, because I really want to travel a bit more in the country and yeah, collect up some local yarn from local sellers. And of course, after making a granny square for each, I'm probably going to have some scraps left over. So I would then attach all those scraps together and use that to make a raglan jumper. But also, but obviously this would be quite far down the line. It's going to be a while to collect all those scraps. Hopefully maybe I will be better at knitting by then, because Holly Anna has started making a scrappy knitted jumper that she's using like with 2 strands, and it is making the transition like a lot nicer between the 2 different yarns, and it looks really cute and funky. I'll link that video below. But yeah, so that'd be really cool as well. I don't know whether I'll be able to get a handle on knitting. I have tried in the past, but I think I really do want to get into it at some point and like really try and learn, and that'd be so cool as well. And also knitting does use up less yarn, so that's probably a bit wise as well to have it as a backup craft as well. So yeah, but yeah, having a scrappy jumper made out of like kind of basically sentimental yarn that matches a blanket that I have as well, that'd be really cute and cool. So I really want to do that at some point. So speaking of granny square blankets, you could also just make a granny square blanket or bag. So I think what would be really cool is making like a different granny square for each one. So like each granny square is like a completely different pattern, and then obviously using scrap yarn, so it's going to all be like different colours as well. But I think that would be so cool. So it's like really just out there and funky and whimsical. I throw up some images of granny square patterns that I think are really cool and would look really funky in a blanket or a bag, if maybe you have less scraps or you don't want like a huge project to work on over time. Just making like it as a bag would be really cool as well. Or alternatively, you could just make lots of little tiny squares if you only have like small scraps, and then make like a blanket or bag out of like the really tiny squares. That'd be so cool as well. So then each square is like a totally different yarn. That'd be really cute to like showcase all like the different yarns that you've used throughout all your other projects, and they're like all together in like one bag or blanket. That's so cool. I think that's really cool. So yeah, that'd be really cute. But a lot of like scrappy blankets I see are just kind of like attaching all the yarn together and just making like a scrappy blanket, or like doing 2 strands together as well, which is also very, very cool. But I don't know, I think it'd be really funky to have something that's a little more whimsical and potentially ugly. But again, I like the look of very scrappy projects. I don't know, I just think that'd be really cute. Having like each square be totally different. I just think that's nice. Now, if you have a lot of animal fibre scraps, then maybe a really good idea would be to start spinning your scraps. So especially if your scraps are like quite small, using, I think they call them carders, they kind of look like giant pet brushes basically, they're kind of like the wires. I guess you could also use pet brushes as well. to turn the yarn back into the kind of like the fibre, the unspun fibre, and then putting them all together and blending them together and then spinning them again into like new yarn. That is so cool. And I don't know if you can do it with like synthetic fibres or even cotton fibres, because obviously with animal fibres they kind of like grip to each other a bit better, so it makes it kind of that kind of stuff easier. But I don't know, maybe you can do it with other fibres as well. But as I start to use more natural fibres and kind of buying secondhand animal fibres and stuff, eventually I'm going to have quite a few animal fibre scraps left over, and I think I want to save them to do some spinning with, because I think that's going to be so fun and cool. I have started doing some spinning with a drop spindle, so it's something I am going to continue doing, and I think making my own yarn out of my scraps, that's going to be so cute. Lots of different funky colours, hopefully. Yeah. If you've got lots of animal fibres, try it out and let me know, because, I want to know how difficult it is as well. But yeah, let me know if you've already done it as well and what the process is like. Another cute mini project that'd be really great for gifts are bookmarks. So the reason I like the idea of a bookmark is because it's going to work really, really well for variegated scrap yarn, or like holding two yarns together as well. And you could just crochet like a bookmark shape, and then implement other like kind of little bits you have in your crafting stash, like buttons, beads, ribbon. So like kind of you use ribbon, or just like maybe chaining, like the bit that hangs out of the book, and like put a bunch of buttons and beads on there, and I don't know, things like that. I think it'd be really just a cute way to showcase the yarn itself as well, instead of like following like a specific like pattern, which obviously you can do that as well if you have lots of kind of like smallish balls of yarn. Something like a bookmark is easy enough to do with like just one little bit of scrap you have. But if you want to use like multiple scraps, I think doing something like a bit silly with it to showcase it in a small project is going to be cute, and then you can make a whole bunch of them and use them as gifts as well. It's the kind of thing a lot of people are going to get good use out of. So yeah, I don't know, but for that reason I just think that's going to be like a really, really cool and useful scrap project. Now something I really, really want to do, but I do not have the correct scraps to do so, or at least not enough scraps, because I guess most of them have gone into here. But scrappy amigurumi. I've seen some really cute images of just the silliest of dudes. It's so cute. Like if I was doing scrappy amigurumi, I would do stripes, I would do freeform crochet, I would be throwing some random silly buttons on there. I'd be like kind of just tying yarn together, kind of like how I did my scrappy cat hat. I don't have like that kind of whimsical going on. I would just do all the chaos on it as possible and just make the silliest of dudes possible. And also like maybe not using like the kind of crazy cat hat style like of different like weights and things for the actual amigurumi itself, but then using it to make like a little outfit for the amigurumi. So it's a scrappy amigurumi with a scrappy outfit. That's gonna be so cute. That's so adorable. I have this little hexagon cardigan I made out of some scraps for this little Build-A-Bear. And like, it's so cute. Oh, and also another cute little project. I made like this little ruff for my bunny. It's so cute. So that's a really cute scrap project as well. But yeah, anything like little like making scrappy amigurumi, or like scrappy clothes for amigurumi, that's really, really cute. And also you can then stuff them with the scraps as well. So you could just do full scrap project, which is really cute and adorable, and I really want to make one. But yeah. Now something a bit more specific in mind that I have seen is this cotton cardigan. I can't read my own handwriting here, but I think it's Ava Paula. Let me know if I've said that wrong. But I saw a short of theirs on YouTube, and they made this really cute cardigan out of their cotton scraps. And as I'm starting to use cotton yarn more frequently, I am going to have some more kind of cotton scraps to use up. And I think this cardigan is so beautiful because it doesn't shy away from the kind of chaotic nature of like the random colour changes and stuff of scrappy yarn projects, and I really love that. But it's also not like so chaotic where there's like random ends flying out and things like that. So yeah, I think that's definitely something on my list for when I have enough cotton scraps left over. I'll probably try and keep my cotton scraps that I want to use for this project, maybe keep within a kind of somewhat cohesive colour palette, like nothing like too strict, but I'll like kind of keep some aside, especially in like the same weight and stuff for that project. It's gonna be so cute. It's like gonna be like a very cute whimsical summer cardigan, and yeah, I think I don't know. I think it's so cute. I think everything in this video is cute. I'm sorry if I'm just constantly repeating myself and using the same words. I just love scrap projects so much. Now the last one I want to talk about is another really simple project you can make loads of. You could have it totally chaotic, you could have it a bit more kind of tame and within a colour palette, things like that, and it also uses lots of very little scraps, and that is scrunchies. My hair is finally long enough to actually put in a scrunchie now, so I'm definitely going to make one of these at some point. But yeah, I think these are so cute, and again, it's something you can make a whole bunch of and give them away as gifts, or maybe in like a craft fair for like a little kind of less expensive project. Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. So I hope this video has maybe given some inspiration for some silly, whimsical, like true scrappy projects you could do. But of course, I mean, you can literally make anything you want. Like any like really, really small project, you could probably get away with making with like, you know, like a ball, a scrap ball like this size or something. Or you can make literally any pattern you can find. You just tie all your yarn together and make it. Like I've seen people make hexagon cardigans, like jumpers, little tops, trousers, just by tying all the yarn together. So it has that scrappy look, but it's not like a specifically scrappy pattern, if you know what I mean. And that looks really cool too. So I guess my point is, you know, embrace the scrappiness and yeah. Don't shy away from the whimsy. I know it's something a lot of people genuinely don't like the look of. But yeah, I really like it. I think it's a bit of a shock, some things at first, but I don't know, and then you kind of get used to it and you start liking the different textures and colours, and it just adds some more whimsy and colour into your life when you really kind of, I guess, commit to the scrappy nature of scrappy crafting. I guess. I don't know if any of this has made sense, but yeah, I really love the look of scrappy projects basically, and I hope you do too, and I hope this video has maybe given you a bit of inspiration into some projects you could do with your scrap yarn. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. I feel like I have yapped long enough. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are doing okay, and I'll see you next time. Bye.